Fitting the burner jets and completing the bases. Part 15. Fitting the number 12 gas jets to the Bix burner gas pipes and removing the burners in order to paint the mounting bases, plus something interesting at the end of the video. I'd just like to mention that these Bix burners and the associated equipment are very good, but they are not cheap. These parts, including the piping, came to around £280. But it's worth it. I've always found them to be very good, provided that you set them up properly, and I always do. This is one of 3 connector pipes that I had made. They are 18 inches long, so I can make sure that the distance between the gas tank and the boiler is considerable. It's not a good idea to get the gas tank warm using the heat radiated from the boiler. The gas pipes, for obvious reasons, arrived in the post coiled up. I've straightened one of them, and here it is. I gave it a clean using some Brasso, and you can see the tin on the left. This is Brasso wadding. I like to use this. I prefer it to using a liquid and a cloth. It's very similar to some stuff I used years ago called Duraglit. In fact, it's almost identical. Here's a shot of one of the gas jets. It's a number 12, and although number 12 is a little bit on the large side, and it will use slightly more gas, they are perfect for these Bix burners. I did mention this in a previous episode. A number 10 gas jet, which is more normal, is a little bit small for Bix burners. These 12s are perfect. The thread is also perfect, and I don't think I'm going to have to use any sealant, but if I get any leaks, I'll use some Loctite 542. This is the connector at the other end of the pipe that fits onto the gas tap. It's not just a union cone, it has an O-ring fitted. It's very easy to connect and very easy to detach, and the O-ring gives a perfect gas-tight seal. I don't know if I mentioned it in a previous episode, but these Bix parts are all made in England, and they all seem to work and fit together perfectly. I was going to use some Clevedon steam burners, which are also excellent, but I actually prefer this type because they're easier to light, particularly inside a Stuart 500 series boiler. But I do also recommend Clevedon steam burners. They are not ceramic burners, but they work very well indeed and give an astounding amount of heat out for their size. It's time now to get on with the job at hand by unscrewing the burners from the mounting plates. The burners are held to the plates using countersunk 5BA bolts. Originally I drilled 3 holes in one of these bases, but in the end it was a good idea because once I fitted the burner, I used a scriber to make a mark in the hole in the centre so I know which burner goes where. The burners are all now detached from the base plates, and I can take these up to the main workshop to clean them up and key them for the paint. And here I am in the outer part of the workshop where I do all the dirty work, and I'm using my 4-inch belt sander to scratch the entire surface, both sides of one of the mounting bases. I need to do this to all 3 of them, particularly the one for the 504 boiler because that's slightly rusty, or it was before I did this to it. You have to be careful when doing this because remember, the metal parts do get quite hot. Well, sometimes they do, depending on the thickness of the metal. These plates are quite thick, so they only get warm. And now in the outer part of the workshop, it's painting time. I paint on my brazing hearth, but I put a piece of plywood on top of it first. As you can see, I'm using old aerosol caps to hold the work away from the board. Otherwise you can just end up with a very sticky mess all around the parts that you're painting. These bases are going to get hot, so I'm using high temperature black paint. I actually shook the can for a couple of minutes. This was the last part. Let the painting begin. As far as paint goes, I don't really like this stuff. No matter how I apply it, it either doesn't sit properly on the piece of metal or it runs. It will even run when it's flat. It's strange stuff to use. What I normally do is paint the parts with this high temperature paint, then lightly rub down the paint and give it another coat of HMG Satin Black C71, which is absolutely beautiful paint to use. It sits perfectly on every surface I can think of. Last night I went to see a medical professional a very good urologist who really knew his stuff. He had a look at the CT scan and immediately told me that the kidney needs to come out. So apparently in the next few weeks I'll be spending 2 or 3 days in hospital, and I don't know what the healing time will be after that. But unless I die under the anaesthetic, the videos will continue, so don't give up on me at this stage. It really doesn't bother me very much. Once upon a time I wanted to be a doctor, but unfortunately I joined a rock and roll band and that was the end of that. This medical professional, who I also saw regarding my prostate, which is now okay, showed me the CT scan that I'd had done, and he immediately saw what the problem was. I have kidney cancer and the kidney definitely needs to come out. And if anything goes wrong or it doesn't get fixed, in the words of Freddie Mercury, who wants to live forever? It's nearly the end of the video, and that's definitely it for the doom and gloom part of it. This is a removable panel on a very badly made roof from a miniature steam locomotive. The reason I'm showing this at the end of this video is because one of my kind Patreon supporters sent me a message asking me how to do this. With a miniature coal-fired steam locomotive, you need a panel to slide out of the roof so you can see the controls. This particular one is not very well made, and it only really fits one way round. This is the wrong way round because there's a ridge at the front. When I turn it round and fit it this way, there isn't a ridge, it's quite smooth. And all it is a cutout in the roof with 2 runners at each side to support the cutout. And in this clip you can see the same arrangement on the underside. There's no real need to put the runners at the front, but you can if you want to, and bending it isn't a problem. If you use brass or steel, you can bend it over your knee with ease. But generally speaking, you don't need anything at the front, and there is another way to do it which is even simpler. This is the roof of my small traction engine, and as you can see there is a cutout, and the panel just sits on the cutout and is not held in place. The problem with this though is if you were to move it in a car, it may vibrate loose. And that's it for this episode, and I'm pleased to say I'm still alive at the end of it. Stay safe, stay healthy, thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.